Speaking of you and your relationships, you called yourself a commitment phobe in the past.
Yep.
And your current wife, right? You said by mental spreadsheets.
Well, I need to put this straight because whilst there's some truth in it, what actually happened was my friend Michael Neal, who's a brilliant life coach, he said to me, I noticed you date a lot of hot women, right? I said, yeah. He goes, but you don't like them, right? I went, what's that got to do with it? They're hot. He went, no, stupid thinking, stupid. He said,
how did he know you didn't like them? Because it was obvious. Or you were complaining about
I said
them?
I don't like them. Yeah, I was complaining, or they did because it didn't last long, And of course, I was being a victim, not an owner. Because I would go, like if you ask me about business, I go, yeah, this happened, and some you win, some you lose. I'd be responsible. But around relationships, I go, God, I keep dating these psychopaths, and not realizing the common denominator was me, right? So what I did was, when he said, you don't like them, yeah, but that's stupid. I said, well, tell me, what advice have you got? And he said, think about who you love to be with, spend time with, and who you're attracted to. So being a hypnotist, put myself in a trance, popped the two ideas in my subconscious, and my subconscious has got a sense of humor, but the language of the subconscious is imagery and abstract and things like. But it did an Excel spreadsheet. Then it did a graph, right? And the graph went, and I went, Kate, went, oh, crikey. So that's awkward because we work together. And suddenly my mother had said to me a few days later, she said, oh, no, I think you and Kate should. I said, I know, Mum, but if I got that one wrong, it'd be very awkward, and we get on great.
Because you know her for a long time, and she was a big part of your business, and she was like your assistant.
She'd been my assistant. She ended up running the companies, and
so you're thinking, if this is the wrong move, this is messy,
bad, yeah,
right? Okay.
Right. So anyway,
but you also were a little sick of your own choices. You dated not yet another model in Hollywood.
Yeah,
you knew that was just getting old. Somehow.
Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I mean, I've got to say, most of the women I dated, a lot of them I'm still friendly with, and they're lovely. There was one or two bad choices, but anyway.
Want to tell us more about that?
Well, bad choices in they matched a picture in my head because they looked a particular way, but I didn't go on how they behaved or how they treated me, and so because I wasn't really thinking about that being an important part of the equation. All I was thinking was instant gratification, not long-term happiness.
And the hotter they are, the more bad behavior you tolerate.
That's right.
Which makes you feel bad about yourself, drops your own self-esteem, and gets you maybe back in old weird loops.
Have you been there as well, bro?
No, but I've heard your stories so many times. No, I'm just I can't say I have. Well, now I got to think about this. So, all right. So, but this can be destructive.
Oh, no, it is. It's and things I would put up with. The highs became higher, the lows become lower. Right. And so it's a really bad equation. And so after this revelation from my unconscious with what has now become known as the spreadsheet of destiny or something, I was sitting in my kitchen with Kate. We had a bottle of wine, so inhibitions lowered. And I said, tell me something about you that I don't know. And she said, I love you. I went, oh, goosebumps, wow.
Did you know that was going to happen?
No.
Were you doing some projecting NLP stuff on her? No,
I hadn't done anything. But
the bottle of wine was there.
That helped us, yeah.
Okay.
And it was, it was quite, so after that, we then thought to ourselves.
Then you told her
I said, well, I feel the same way.
Wow.
And one thing led to another, and then we thought, we've got to stop doing this. But love, being the most powerful force in the universe, overrode it all. So even though we brought our baggage, our concerns and our worries and all that stuff to it, love overcame all of that, and we then decided to get married. And I'm not just married, I'm happily married. And my point is, if I can do this, anyone can do this. So that's really what was part of the thrill for writing this book. Also, it's because when I write a book, I think, what have I got to bring the world? What's the world need and what can I bring to it? And I don't just do it by thinking what would be certainly in these days, I don't think what would be necessarily be a commercial success, although obviously the books have been. But I think you've got to come from a place of, do I have something to say? And I try and write the definitive book on that subject. So I set the bar high, right? So when I wrote my first major self-help book, Change Your Life in 7 days, I thought, I'm going to write The Road Less Traveled. Now, it's nothing like The Road Less Traveled, right? But it's something as impactful as that. And so with this, I thought I want to write the definitive book on relationships. In fairy tales, they usually end with, and they all lived happily ever after. But they don't tell you how to get there. And so this isn't just a how to get there, it's how you, I suppose, you get insights into yourself, into other people, and into the process. Because this is the other thing I've noticed about relationships. People talk about a relationship like it's a thing, like it's a destination. I want to be in a relationship and everything's going to be fine. Well, no, it's not quite like that. Relationship is not something you can put in a wheelbarrow. It's a dynamic process of relating. So every day, me and my wife are relating to each other, and some days are different to other days. And so, and life happens. So we then have to adapt to those things. And it's often in those moments that you find out who you are. And, give someone a crisis, you'll find out who you are. Give somebody, $1 million, you'll find out who they are. Give somebody, all sorts of different things around us shape us. And I like to think that that in a way, it's almost like a spiritual experience being in a wonderful relationship, because you certainly get reflected too. This is funny, actually, when I first got together with Kate, Richard Bandler said to me, he goes, the good thing is she knows you. The bad thing is she knows you. And that proved to be so true.
Right. So on one hand, she knows who you are. On the other hand, she knows all the bad things about you.
The bad things, or certainly the things that people wouldn't necessarily want to admit to. You certainly wouldn't on a date,
Right. And what did she think when you decided to write this book?
Well,
because this could get personal.
Yes, there was that. She was concerned about our relationship being put under a spotlight, or microscope even. She was concerned about, so originally I was thinking of writing how to meet the love of your life, that sort of thing. And she went, it'll jinx our marriage. And I said, well, I really want to write this book. And she actually said, look, I've got these concerns about our relationship being, because when you write a book on, say, I don't know, sleep, all I do is I sharpen, I say, look, this is what the research says, and I explain it in a user-friendly way, and that's it. This is always going to come back to, well, let's see if you're claiming this, how's it work for you then, matey? And so, you've got to be able to write about what you know about. I mean, I remember a few years ago listening to Howard Stern interview Barbara DeAngelis, who'd been married, I think, 3 times by then. And halfway through the interview, I was, honey, I think you need to read your own book. And she said, no, it's because I've been through the mill a few times, I can write this book, And so I suppose there is, certainly for me, there's some truth in that, because I have been where it isn't, and I'm now where it is. I've figured out the difference for me, and if I can do it, other people can do it.
And you're the first one to admit that just because you've written all these books about how you can fix yourself, that you're not the shining example of anything. You said you're still a work in progress.
I am. I'm not a guru. I have problems. That's part of the nature of evolving through life. However, do I have some solutions? Yes, and I have them in specific areas, in confidence, weight loss, in things like sleep, motivation, these sorts of things, and I make those available to people. I usually sell either 2 categories, solutions or aspiration. And this is a mix of both. This is both solution and aspiration. And also, in the same way that somebody like Malcolm Gladwell, who's a brilliant psychology, sort of social science writer, his are not really focused on solutions. They're more about insights into the way that we are and society is. I'm much more pragmatic. I'm saying, look, this is how I think people operate generally. And this is, if you do this and this, you'll get this kind of result. And we know from the research, most people, most of the time, do from my books and apps.